LG just launched their new flagship device, the LG V40 ThinQ. I think it's Think, but they keep saying ThinQ. It's their first 5-camera phone, which I'm really excited about, which I'll tell you more about why in a little bit. But they were kind enough to send me one, so as is the usual here on the channel, I figured I would try to do one of my complete walkthroughs for you guys. Now, if you're not familiar, a complete walkthrough on this channel is where I try to go through every single feature I possibly can on a new device so that you guys are better prepared if you're in the market to buy one. With that said, there's a lot to go through as usual, so let's get started with the hardware. The new LG V40 ThinQ is made out of Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back with an aluminum frame. It's probably one of the thinnest and lightest larger devices out there right now, weighing 5.94 ounces compared to the iPhone XS Max's 7.34 ounces, and it's 0.31 millimeters thick. On the front, we have a 6.4-inch OLED display with a 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio, a 3120 by 1440 pixel resolution, and support for HDR10. And yes, there's a notch. But you can hide it in the settings under second screen if you want. Now inside that notch, we have two front-facing cameras. One is an 8-megapixel f1.9 80-degree field of view lens, and the other is a 5-megapixel f2.2 90-degree field of view lens. Now, 10 degrees doesn't sound like much, but it is enough to get in a few extra friends into the selfie. Personally, I would rather they did a wider secondary camera to make for a more varied option, but there you go. Below the screen, we have our thin bezel. On the right side, we have our power button and our SIM card micro SD card slot combo. On the left, we have our volume buttons and our dedicated Google Assistant key that you can use to bring up the voice assistant that also lets you use it walkie-talkie style so that you can hold it down while you talk to it and let go when you're done, which further increases accuracy since it knows when the command begins and ends and can separate it better from the background noise, which I'm a fan of. On the top, we have nothing but a microphone hole. At the bottom, we have our USB 3.1 Type-C port and our speaker, which supports LG's boombox speaker function, meaning that it has an echo chamber inside that's a little bit larger to produce a larger sound. Also on the audio front, this wouldn't be an LG V series if it didn't also have the 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC built in to allow you to play back higher quality audio from the device's 3.5mm headphone jack, and it'll also support DTS:X 3D surround sound. Moving to the back, we have our fingerprint sensor a bit higher in the middle, which I think is the most natural place for your hand to go, actually. We have our LED flash next to our not one or two, but 3 cameras. Now, we've seen this setup on the Huawei P20 Pro, of which I'm a big fan, as you guys know. But this is a little different. Instead of a monochrome color and 3x telephoto, we have 3 different focal lengths, which I think is way more useful. We have a super wide because LG is becoming known for it at this point, and it's a 16-megapixel f1.9 107-degree field of view camera. Then we have a 12-megapixel quote-unquote standard camera that has an aperture of f1.5 and a 78-degree field of view, and a 12-megapixel 2x telephoto f2.4 lens with a 45-degree field of view. Personally, I'd have liked to see a further zoomed in lens like the 3x on the Huawei to give it more range, as I think 2x isn't that different from the standard, but still, I love this idea of having multiple focal lengths so I can feel like I have my real camera and my zoom lens. It just means I have so many more options with the phone camera for framing a shot that I usually don't have when using a phone. Now honestly, I'd be excited even for a phone with like 5 different focal length rear cameras for even more options instead of having to carry around external lenses that sit over the main lens, etc. Now the standard lens has 1.4 micron pixels, which means it'll let in more light in low light situations. It's the only optically stabilized lens of the 3, sadly. The other 2 have EIS, and it's the only one with dual phase detection autofocus, which is pretty quick. Now, we'll go into the cameras, their software, and the photos in more detail shortly, but first let's finish with the hardware. The device is capable of fast wireless charging, a good reason for the glass back, of the 3300 milliamp battery that's inside the device, and also supports Qualcomm's Quick Charge 3.0 to go from dead to half power in 30 minutes or so. Now, LG has stated that even though this battery is 30% smaller than the Note 9, they managed to get 90% of the battery life out of it. Powering the device, we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor, 6 gigs of LPDDR4 RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage. We also have NFC, Wi-Fi 802.11ac, and Bluetooth 5.0. The device is IP68 certified, so it can handle 2 meters of water for up to 30 minutes, as well as being military spec certified for drops. The device is running Android 8.1 with LG's own UI on top, and since it is similar to any other version of Android, I'm just going to cover what LG has added to the device instead of going through the entire OS. As far as pre-installed apps are concerned, here's what LG had on my unlocked version. Yours should be similar, but, you know, added carrier bloatware to that as well. Google Suite. Now, most likely due to a tight partnership between LG and Google, the entire Google Suite of apps is basically on this device, from Docs to Mail to Duo, Google Drive, etc. We have Quick Memo Plus, which is LG's own note-taking app. We have Music, which is LG's music player that plays whatever music you have installed on your device, and also has a Boombox Show feature that plays visuals and can blink the LED to the music if that's something you're into. LG Health, their health app that tracks steps, weight, lets you compete against others with LG Health, etc. HD audio recorder, a standard now in LG devices. It's a great little app that lets you record audio on the phone that I even have known some YouTubers to use to record their voiceovers with, so that says something to me. FM radio, which if you have headphones plugged in, you can use that as an antenna and pick up local FM radio stations. Update Center, which is LG's app for updating their own apps as well as the phone's over-the-air updates for the OS. And we have LG Smart World, which is their own app store. Okay, now let's check out those 5 cameras. You can get to the cameras by double tapping the power button, which I always appreciate. And once in there, the first thing you notice is the new 3 camera icons at the top of the viewfinder. These are how you can switch between the telephoto, regular, and ultra-wide lenses. You can also tap and hold on these to be able to see a live preview of each of the cameras at once, and you can even tap on the triple shot setting and take a photo and it'll take all 3 photos at once. You can then see each of the photos in the gallery, and there will also be an automatic GIF comprised of zooming in from the ultra-wide to the normal to the telephoto, albeit with not the best animations. We have a portrait mode that uses the ultra-wide and normal lens info instead of the usual telephoto and normal of other devices to separate the foreground and background to give better bokeh effects. We also have Google Lens available directly in the camera, which is Google's own AI camera for shopping, image searches, etc. We have LG's AI Cam, which is their version of scene detection that chooses from a number of different scenarios and tries to adjust the camera settings for a better shot of that particular thing. Personally, I turn this off on every device as I don't feel like it ever does what I want it to, and I can just adjust the image after myself instead, but maybe that's just me. Under camera modes, we have Auto, which is the normal fully automatic camera mode, Manual Camera, a mode that lets you make changes to camera settings like ISO, shutter speed, etc. Manual Video, which is the same as Manual Camera, but for video. Cine Video, this is what we first saw on the V30 last year that allows you to shoot in a version of log or neutral video that then allows you to add looks, called LUTs, or lookup tables. When you add these, you can use that to get a specific look. Food. This basically just bumps up the saturation and gives you a white balance slider. We have slow-mo, which I can't seem to find what frame rate it's at, so I'm not sure if it's 240 or 120, but it seems like maybe it's 240. We have panorama, which is the normal taking multiple photos and having it stitch them together that all phones do nowadays. We have flash jump cut, which takes 4 photos, one every 3 seconds, and stitches them together to create a GIF. Cineshot. Now, this is a way to create cinemagraphs or photos that have an element that moves in them. You take the short video, then you can color in the part you want to keep moving. If you plan it out, it can make for some clever looking or even amazingly creepy shots. But there are also a bunch of apps on the Play Store that have done this for a while already. Time-lapse, this lets you record a video at a slower frame rate that'll play back as a fast motion one. 360 panorama, this is similar to the old Google Sphere photos that lets you take a panorama that then can be viewed on the phone and will react to your movements of the phone using the accelerometer to reveal the rest of the photo. AR stickers, this is basically Snapchat. You can also tap this icon to get more as they become available. Now we have a dedicated button for filters, think Instagram filters, and we also have one for those stickers, again, think Snapchat stickers. And the front camera has some similar modes, but also adds a beauty mode, which I find terrifying on every device that has it, but some people in certain markets might like it, I guess. In the camera settings, we have super bright camera. This basically is a version of automatic HDR where you can hold still and it'll take a longer exposure shot and stitch it with other shots it takes to make a better exposed photo in low light. We have HDR, which is similar to most other devices and takes multiple shots at different exposures in the time that it takes to take one shot, then combines them for a better lit shot. Just always leave this on, basically. Steady recording, this uses software to help electronically stabilize shots. Live photo, which is basically Apple's live photo. This takes a few second clip before and after a photo that can be played back in the gallery. Cheese shutter, which allows you to take a photo by saying cheese, smile, whiskey, kimchi, or LG. Tag locations, which is the same as most cameras. It adds location metadata to the photo for organizational reasons if you want. Grid, which turns a rule of thirds grid on, which I always use. Add signature, which puts a watermark of your choice in the bottom right corner of every photo you take. Full vision, which turns the aspect ratio to 18.9 by 9 to fill your device's screen. Camera resolutions, we have multiple camera resolutions and aspect ratios to choose from, up to 12 megapixels in 4:3 and down to 3.4 megapixels in 1:1. Video resolutions, we have the choice between 720p, 1080p, and 4K in up to 60 frames per second. You lose stabilization in ultra bright camera in 4K 60, by the way. Timer, you can set a timer of 3, 5, and 10 seconds from when you tap the shutter button to when the phone takes a photo. And finally, it's available starting October 18th, and the price will vary by carrier in the US, but it'll start at $900. And there, guys, a complete walkthrough of every feature I could possibly find on this device. Let me know what you guys think of this video, of the device itself, in the comments below. Always love hearing from you guys. And if you like this video, please thumbs up it or share it. It's greatly appreciated. Also, check out the rest of my channel. If you like what you see there, please subscribe. And don't forget to tap the bell next to the word subscribe so you get notified when I do new videos, because YouTube doesn't notify anybody by anything anymore. As always, though, regardless, thanks for watching.